Oh, I actually wanted to be, but I'm a mom. Nothing pisses me off than that, but that's not a burden anyone should bear, and not, especially not your child. I wouldn't want my daughter to one day say, my mom was going to be, but because she had me at 19, this changed. The more you deliver on that initial promise, the more the doors open for you. We say the Lulu is the Solulu, and to a greater extent, even in that space, it is. You don't know what you can have until you ask, so be audacious with your asks.
Actually,
How are you?
I'm good.
So, please tell us a little bit about who Olive is, and don't be humble.
Okay. Olive Muteti is an interior designer. I'm a visionary within the built environment and construction space. The founder of Athena Luxury Construction, where we are looking to change how modern luxury living is presented in the Kenyan market. I'm also the founder of Biha Foundation, a social impact platform that works with young moms to empower them to build bold futures. Yeah, that's the long short of it. Is it humble?
you're an interior designer in a field often dominated by men. How do people usually react when you walk into a site meeting?
I think when it comes to the perception, there's been an evolution. At the start, definitely there was a lot of funny looks, like I'm quite expressive in how I show up. I've had my hair blonde since 2019. I'll always sport long, colorful nails. Before I was Shori from Django, which I tend to call myself a lot, I was a model for the longest time. So self-expression in my style has always been big for me. And coming into a field where the standard is boots, reflector, helmets, it's quite a transition. And I'm so glad that I've been quite stubborn. I'm generally quite the stubborn person, and I've been stubborn in retaining my identity even in the transition. And so the perception initially was, you sure, like, is this the person who's going to handle my home, my money? And especially when I worked under people, and the approach is people are coming in, approaching a business, a brand, and the expectation is that a man is going to show up on site. Then it's this tall blonde. So there's obviously those funny looks. But over time, given my visibility with my business has been going hand in hand, it's now an expectation that I'm the one who's going to show up. And over time, there's also the perception of, you're so creative in how you present yourself, so I trust you to also creatively handle my project. So to a great extent, owning, I wouldn't say my weirdness, but what makes me slightly different has worked for my good. And in any case, something one of my closest girlfriends told me, you don't want to be working with someone who thinks you're too much. If anything, someone should want to work with you because that's part of who you are, and that's part of what you bring to their projects. So there's that.
I love that. And what about the actual mafundi? And correct me if I'm wrong, but most of them are men.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
So do they listen to you as their boss?
Of course, at the end of the day, I'm the one who decides whether you get paid or not. You have to listen. There is some resistance, because a lot of times people coming to site I'm not the entry point to my site. You've probably been brought in by maybe my site manager, my project managers, and by the time you're meeting me, it's just this lady who's shown up at site and pointing out things and how they need to be done. And a lot of times, because of my age and gender, a lot of fundis will tell you, hatufanyagi hivo, ama hivi ndio tunafanyaga. And you have to grow some tough skin. Construction has really hardened me, because at the end of the day, you need to remind them, you are implementing my drawings, so you do them the way I intended for it to be done. Of course, there's room for learning, but a lot of times it's just dismissal on account of ambia huyo msichana ni vitu nafanyaga, and they'll even probably gossip in local dialects that you'll catch every once in a while. It's a funny experience because at the end of the day, ufanye usifanye ni mimi nitaamua pesa kama inatoka. So you'll have to toe the line.
I guess that explains this next question, which is how you're fashion forward, because you're also big on fashion and, like you said, a bit expressive, right? And you're always in bright colors and all that. So does, okay, maybe answer it, but you could give it a bit more context. Has it made people underestimate you professionally?
Yes. It's one thing to be a woman, it's one thing to be young, and especially right now in Kenya, Gen Z is borderline used as a slur. People do use it positively, but recently, after the entire political climate in Kenya, Gen Z is thrown around. There's like an insulting connotation to it. And a lot of times I'll meet clients, because sometimes we get clients who work with us directly, approached me or leave to work with. At times it's an architect handling a project who's now approached me to work on the project. And in such instances, you'd find that by the time the client is meeting me, they already agreed to working with me without meeting the person. And when you show up on site, it's usually like, hey, architect, ulisema tunafanya kazi na Gen Z. But what has worked for me is being undeniably good at what I do. So yeah, Gen Z, yeah, her sense of style is not giving what you'd walk into when you get into an Upper Hill office, no shade to Upper Hill. But yeah, there is a sense of dismissal that you catch, but at the end of the day, you can't deny excellence.
I love it. Now, allow me to ask, what strategies now have helped you command respect in these spaces, especially spaces where you're often the only woman at the table and probably the only young person as well?
Okay. Know your thing. Know your thing. Like, I'm quite the upper, I talk a lot, and it helps to have enough to speak about. People pay you because they don't know what you know. So, like I've said, be undeniably good. It works more than anything else, because also trying to conform just to fit a mold is quite hectic. The reward of conformity is everyone likes you but yourself. So just let how much you know be louder than the queries and the doubts. Yeah, take up space.
Okay, like one thing about you have an abundance mindset,
Sure.
right?
For
And
sure.
even when you started by introducing yourself, you said Athena is actually a luxury company. You deal with luxury properties and
Yes.
stuff,
Yeah.
right? So as Gen Z who's just getting started, how do you just walk in and feel and go for the money like that?
You don't know what you can get until you go after it. And like you said, I really exist in such an abundance mindset. There's so much in this world. And if others are able to access that much that is in the world, like, I'm not a lesser being. I deserve a seat at that table. I deserve a share of that pie. There's enough to go around. And actually, yeah, there is so much to get into my basket. So when it comes to the market, of course, you can't sell luxury and not deliver luxury. So it goes back to be so good at what you're doing and actually work to always deliver on your promise. And the more you show up, the more you deliver on that initial promise, the more the doors open for you. And for me, it's been how we say the Lulu is the Solulu, and to a great extent, even in that space, it is. You don't know what you can have until you ask. So be audacious with your asks.
Okay, now let's go to BIHA Foundation. And let's start by what inspired you to start BIHA Foundation?
Okay, this is interesting. It's something I'm passionate about. So let's get into it.
Finally.
Not that I'm not passionate about construction, but yeah. So BIHA, I founded BIHA in 2020 during COVID. So I'm a young mom. Does young mom apply as you grow older? But yeah, maybe applies based on your point of entry into motherhood. I had my daughter at 19. So During COVID, there was a lot of conversation around teenage pregnancy. The stats are always on news every other day. And Biha started as a rant on my YouTube channel when I was there. So the conversation was mostly around teenage pregnancy is on the rise in Kenya and how do we put a stop to this. And while I agree that's a very valid conversation to have, I also felt like there was a side of this conversation that wasn't being had, and there was a big chunk of the victims, if I'd say, falling through the cracks. While you're looking to stop the crisis that is teen pregnancy, what happens to those who are already there? Because these are more than numbers and pie charts that are being shown during this. These are actual girls with actual lives, with actual futures that have been disrupted. However you want to look at it, that's the actual reality of that. And in my case, I do come from privilege, in the sense of the support and the community I have around me. From the get-go, my family has held me down. I'm able to do everything that I do because I have such a powerful army behind me. I honestly don't think I'd be half the woman I am without the kind of family I come from. I'm really covered in love and support. And the realization that this is not the standard for every young mom. So with this conversation happening, it made me so aware of where I stand in my journey with motherhood. Because at this point, by the time this was happening, my daughter was, I think, about to turn 3. I had already gone back to school. One of the things, like I said earlier, I was doing was modeling. So I had already participated in 3 pageants, Miss Tourism Narok, where I was a finalist, and then I was first runners-up, Miss Yowen, College of Architecture and Engineering, and I was finally Miss University of Nairobi. And all this was because even getting back your confidence after childbirth to be on the runway, it takes a lot of affirmation from the people around you. And the fact that I could have all this and get back to things that really mattered to me, it broke my heart when I got into a space where I'm interacting with more young moms, and the conversations were always, oh, I actually wanted to be, but I'm a mom. And that, to date, nothing pisses me off than that, but. I wanted to be, but. And I feel like that's not a burden anyone should bear, and not, especially not your child. I wouldn't want my daughter to one day say, my mom was going to be, but because she had me at 19, this changed. So Be Her in itself is a reminder that you can be her, the woman you wanted to be before anything. Motherhood is just a part of your journey, but you're your own person with your own story. Get back to pursuing that and be her, be that woman. So overall, that's the core of what I endeavor to do with Be Her. Offer my support. If sharing my story allows you to see what's possible for you, then I'm open to doing that. If using platforms and spaces I have access to mobilize resources to an overlooked group, then that's something I'm willing to do. So Be Her in itself is, I hate that so many futures fall through the cracks when you're at ending teen pregnancies and leaving it at that. What happens to those who are already there? What happens to those lives, those futures? Yeah, so that's mostly it.
How do you respond to stereotypes that young motherhood means lost potential?
Watch me do it. Yeah, like, I think one of the things I had a lot when I was pregnant, I discovered I was pregnant when I was really pushing to peak with my modeling. And one of the nastiest questions I was asked is like, so what happens to your modeling? Have you seen Mother's Model? And if anything that I thought I'd wanted to do in that space, I made sure I did before 25. If it's a pageant title, I made sure I had several in my bag. If it's a billboard, I had one. If it's a TVC ad, I had one. So to any stereotypes and any prejudice on basis of my gender or me being a young mom, it's basically fine. Watch me do it. Yeah, and if anything, that's the other thing I want my daughter to grow up seeing. I feel like I'm the poster child for what happens when you refuse to give up on yourself. And that's exactly what I want my daughter to grow up seeing. That's exactly what I want other girls looking at me to see, that it really doesn't matter what the norm is assumed to be. Get it done and let them see you do it.
Love it. And do you think companies are doing enough to make spaces inclusive, especially for young moms?
I'd say there are policies that try to have that happen, but as a founder myself, we're not doing enough. And that's one of the things I'd eventually really want to do with Athena. I'm big on economic empowerment of young mothers. As a mom, the one thing that has improved my experience as a mom, the one thing that has made me enjoy motherhood is money. However you want to put it, money does make the world go round. And we may talk, we may encourage, but at the end of the day, what really makes an impact is the money we put in these mothers' pockets. And it's not in giving them money, it's in empowering them to make money for themselves. So I feel organizations could do more. A lot of these moms are leaving their educational journey. But we have so many industries that do not need you to have a degree. We just need you with the skills. And that's going back to Athena. I want to get to a point where I'm able to offer skill training that these moms can monetize and probably even absorb them into the industry. It would be lovely if I walked into a site and the tilers, the ones painting, anyone, like a lot of the tasks on site are being handled by young moms, because even with Athena, one of the things, I've always kind of known that I'm not exactly built for employment. I always knew I wanted to create employment. I always knew I wanted families fed, kids going to school, because I'm working in my purpose and creating opportunities for other families to generate an income from that. And so in the same breath, I'd want now to have it a crossover of sorts from Be Her with Athena, equip these moms with skills that they can and actually join me in this male-dominated space. Now that I've already claimed my space, I might as well scoot over and create room for them.
I love it. So, just a final follow-up question. Final question, which is to this mom who's probably 18 years right now. This girl who's just found out at 18 that she's expectant. She's maybe 7 weeks old. 7 weeks. Hey, no, I know your answer. So this
Thank you.
To this young mom.
Just delivered.
Who's just delivered. Who's just delivered. Is looking at a 2 weeks old baby. And is wondering, oh my goodness, this baby is my sole responsibility. She's 18. She doesn't know what to do. What is the one thing that you tell her to do?
Well, first, it gets better. And I know this is like a very generic, put on a t-shirt, this too shall pass type of quote, but it does get better. I recently celebrated my daughter's 8th birthday, and every time I'd sit there, oh, you said you're going for the tearjerkers, but yeah, like I'd sit there and computing the olive that started off on this journey and the olive right now. Yeah, it does get better. Things fall into place in ways you wouldn't even imagine. Just accept things as they are, because I feel like their time is lost. Like, ishafanyika, you're here. This is a whole human being. And the thing about parenthood, motherhood, is the permanence. This is it. This is for life. So as you're here, accept this is the reality you're living. Make peace with it. Take it in, cry if you need to, feel bad if you need to. Lumbar glucose, the journey is long. But even then, things have a beautiful way of working out in ways you least expect. Just show up in the tiny ways you can. Compounding effect of showing up is real. you'd be surprised when you get to a point and you're looking back and your reality doesn't make sense to you. So right now, I know this doesn't make sense because for sure, if you told me this in 2017, watch stories are jabba. But right now, I look at my life and a lot don't make sense. Like, how did we get here? How am I able to do this for myself and my daughter? And it can only get better. Like, there's so much more for us to experience together, to enjoy. And even for that 18-year-old, it will get better. I know it sucks right now. I know it feels like, it doesn't even feel like you clearly can't see what's next. It's a really hopeless place to be. And I won't even tell you, I don't want to be a motivational speaker-ish with you, but just trust the process. It does work out. I don't even know how to make it make sense to you, but in retrospect, you'll one day look back and things will fall into place in ways you didn't even imagine possible. So hang in there. And sending you all the love. You'll be fine.
I love that. Thank you. And where can the good people find you?
Okay, so my other baby, Athena Luxury KE, on all platforms. Yeah, we are your luxury construction and interior design partner. Give us a follow. Then I'm Olive Muteti on most platforms. Wende Muteti on Instagram. Happy to connect.
Thank you. That was lovely. You did great.
Thank you.